Hello, Backwater J here. Today is an exciting milestone as I'll be doing my first pedal review and demo. This is the Gore Filth Fuzz. A little bit about this pedal and its creator. Gore is what you'd call an experimental musician as well as a techie. And he takes a lot of inspiration from classic gear. If you haven't seen his channel, do yourself a favor and check it out. He's come out with an entire line of mostly distortion type effects, which honestly all sound great to my ears based on Joe's demos, and are all extremely dynamic effects. In other words, they respond to volume swells and picking dynamics. I'm sure you'll see some of that in the demo to come. These pedals are currently only available through Vintage King, link in the description below. Due to demand and limited supply, you'll need to be patient with shipping delays. In my case, it took about 6 weeks. On the plus side, Dan over at Vintage King is an excellent communicator, and even followed up with me after the pedal had arrived. As for the Filth Fuzz in particular, well, the two knobs are what you'd expect from a fuzz pedal, a level and a drive control. The sliders to the top and right are actually a unique tone palette, where instead of coloring the process sound, they actually affect the way it's produced by varying the voltage of the transistors. This creates some interesting tonal options you wouldn't find in a normal fuzz pedal. I'm not in any way sponsored by Gore and paid full retail for this pedal, so expect a relatively unbiased review. So first impressions. I like the fatigue metal look. Kind of understated and cool like many of the classic fuzzes. The all-metal construction is durable. Even your knobs and slider tips are metal, and the sliders themselves are pretty robust. Could you dislodge one of them with a sideways kick? Possibly, but the controls are set up to make that pretty difficult to do unless you're trying to. Onto the back of the pedal. Like the front, bare fatigue metal. This could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on your intended use. Personally, I like it as it makes it easy to attach Velcro for a pedal board, and you can always attach rubber tread if you want it to stick better as a standalone effect. It's on the small side as fuzzes go. Not mini pedal by any means, but it's only about an inch wider than your standard Boss pedals. The controls are smooth and well made, and the switch action is in the sweet spot. The blue LED is also a nice touch. They're a bit more expensive, so you don't see them often on effects, and it helps Filth to stand out visually. Now cons. Mostly this comes down to power supply. It does have an internal 9-volt battery, but there's no easy access. You have to take the back off. Not a huge deal. It's 4 screws, and honestly, if you're like me, you don't use battery much anyway. You'll see also it's not clipped in place, largely for space reasons. It slips between the PCB board and the pedal wall. If you wanted to do some minor modifications, it might be possible to clip the battery in the dead space between the knobs and sliders, but I personally don't trust myself not to mess things up trying. For a pedal in this price range, I'd like to have seen a better secure battery, but again, personally not a big deal as I don't use battery much. On to your external power supply, not included by the way. It does run on a standard 9-volt power supply, so any of your various pedal board or daisy chain power supplies should work just fine. My main issue here is the placement, right next to the input jack. I actually like the side placement, it saves a bit of pedal board space. However, if you're using a right angle input plug, you do have to be careful how you angle it. Now I get why the jack is here, there probably wouldn't be clearance up where the slider is. But one could easily move this into the dead space on the output side, just above the level knob. Anyway, not much more I can say about pedal construction, so without further ado, on to the playing demo.
Alright, so we got the vocals going here. You can hear there's a little bit of fuzz going. I can kind of tweak the levels here. This is almost just a little fuzzy radio kind of tone right here. You really can kind of crank this all the way up to 11. Get some real freaky stuff. Testing, vocal line. can hear the bass on the inside here. So you can get kind of some in-between tones by sliding those around. And, let's turn our boost off here. That'll give me a little bit more usable of a tone here. And actually, let's turn the boost back on. That sounded kind of cool. Okay, so yeah, that is it for the Gore Filth Fuzz demo here. I hope you enjoyed it. Final thoughts to 10.
So I hope you found this demo informative or at least entertaining. I honestly was a little underwhelmed when I first plugged this in, but once I got a feel for how the controls work, I was able to coax a lot of tones out of this machine. The slider arrangement reaches full saturation, what you might call your classic fuzz tone, at the top and right. Moving either or both toward the other end of the travel biases response more toward the treble frequencies and seems to tame the amount of distortion a bit. These can be useful for quirky tones, particularly combined with phase switching on the guitar. You can get some interesting effects by keeping one slider maxed and turning the other down for a more complex but still rocking tone. Also, running a boost such as my EP booster in line before the Filth Fuzz can really kick this pedal to the next level, particularly if your instrument is relatively low output. As promised, it's very fun playing with the dynamics of this pedal. Set up right, it can go from almost clean to biting fuzz just based on your picking dynamics. I didn't show it in the demo, but it can also really liven up your overdrive channel for leads. You do get a bit of increased noise, but honestly compared to most distortion effects I've dealt with, it's negligible. Overall, not a cheap pedal, but not an outrageously expensive one either. You definitely get what you pay for if you're looking for a fuzz tone palette with some truly quirky options, as well as your classic high gain, super saturation, and anything in between. This has been Backwater Jay with the Filth Fuzz. If you enjoyed or were informed at all by this demo, I encourage you to please hit the like button. Please subscribe to this channel for more musical stuff and other quirky things. And have a wonderful day.